Because the molder has the warehouse where you have to store all of the parts, which is the same square footage ultimately. There's that, and you also have a single point of failure. Our factory is never going to go down because we can only go down by a percentage. We know that the volumes of parts have been declining forever. Like, freaking Toyota considers 25,000 to be mass production. Well, we use other manufacturers too, but we only have like 3 of people who we will actually are qualified to run it. Oh. Yeah, exactly.
But the less suppliers, other than the, oh God, one of them failed, I need a backup, you can have. The more you can optimize for that. Like, every time we got a new supplier in just to test their material, it shut down production to try and make sure the material was qualified.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be messing with suppliers. I want the same material every time, no change. And if there's a problem, I'm going to my backup, and that's it.
Oh, if I look at our history, like back in like the 2017, 18, 19 era, when we were first getting going, I was just like 90% of the jobs that we screwed up or missed out on was because the material that I ordered that was black was not the black that was the last black I got. And I'm just like freaking over this. Or it took 6 weeks for them to get here or anything else, all the problems. And I was just like, guys, this is not a filament extrusion. If you're really good at it, it can be an art, but it's not that hard.
It's not.
We are not that good at it, but like we are good enough to get by and get all of our stuff done and have the same color black every time.
Competency is quite low. Can you run a machine? Yes. Can you use basic tolerance tools? Yes. Cool. Run that machine. Go.
Exactly.
The machine tells you if it's in or out of spec. All you got to do is be able to read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those types of things. It's so easy.
You need a pulse and a basic reading education to know, is that number within the numbers it should be? Yes? Good. If it's alarming, let's make a phone call.
I'll tell you, when an extruder starts to go south, one of the big filament extrusion lines, they are very subtle in some of the signals that they give to you as to why they're suddenly not putting that number where it needs to go to. You're just like, well, is the temperature in zone 4, or is the screw dirty, or did we just get a contamination in there, or did the colorant jack with us or something like that? It is amazing to me. Like, we introduced gray. Gray has a completely different extrusion profile from extruding with black.
Yep.
Exactly like if you were using it on a printer. But I'm just like, freaking, this was supposed to be a big old 1-inch die thing that doesn't supposed to care about this 0.1% colorant that we dropped into it. Why am I having to deal with this? But I got to deal with it. Yep. And I'm just like, this is freaking irritating. But yeah, the production can get worse if something starts to go wrong. But when it's running, it's nothing. We run lights out when Tangled, the extruder, is running. We will run 2 weeks continuously. That extruder will build up the inventory for however long we need it, and then we'll shut it down, and that's done for a week or 2 or something like that. So it's so fantastically efficient and automatable once it's running.
Do you have robots to do the spooling?
No. We had robots. We had a cobot arm one time that did spool removal for a minute, because it wasn't actually that good. But then we found out, the solution to this is big spool. So the spoolers, if you look at a filament manufacturer, they have some guy at the end pulling off 1 kg spools. And I was just like, how about we put a 200 kg spool at the end of this line and just fill that up? And it'll spool there for a few hours and you don't need people around. And that was automation. Exactly. And you know what? Forklifts are pretty common and easy and understood compared to a robot arm pulling off 1 kg spools. And then you take that big giant spool into an auto spooler machine that can down spool to 1 kgs. But it can take the feed from a spool that is consistent when the extrusion line isn't consistent or at the correct speed for spooling. So this is one of these scaling problems that is like really obvious if you look at like real production, because no metal wire company is spooling straight down onto the machine. Tiny spools. They're making a big old giant reel and then moving it over to the other side of the factory. So this is just like kind of the growing of the industry of like the scale is finally being required to where your backyard, we got an extruder and we run some Joe standards at it all day long. We're getting past all of that, which is really nice. We win the scaling, though. An interesting kind of fight we had was like, do we make a giant extruder that extrudes fast? Because I was like, I want it going at 50 miles an hour shooting down this line here. And we're going to build cooling tanks that are 200 feet long. And we're going to make filament fast. And then I was just like, I can't, because I have to extrude at 1.75. And unless I do a multi-strand extrusion, which suddenly jacks with everything and causes all kinds of failures, I'm like, well, I'm not dealing with that. So I guess we're going to put in 20 extruders or something at some point. But there's all these kind of interesting triggers and decisions that just haven't been made before for our industry, even though they're very solved in so many other industries. The thing with printing, most of everything that we fight with in printing is very solved or solvable. The only thing that's like new is like the architecture of a factory that makes anything. Factories that make anything have never existed before unless you were an artisan chair shop. But now to make 10,000 parts a day and have each part cost 25 cents or $1 or any kind of reasonable cost, that has never occurred. The screw factory made the same screw and they made it over and over again. And now we got to make 10,000 different screws and still kind of have that economy of scale in there. And that's a new monster. But it's fun. It makes the problem worth working on.
Dude, the re-spooling. So like,
yeah,
I'm aware that very few companies do this, right? We've toured Printed Solid many times. They do not do this, right? They're going on a 1 kilo rolls. There's someone that has to sit on the line every 4 to 4.5 minutes. That's when you have to change it over. Even on their Prusa line they have there, their Prushament line, they're doing only 2 kg, but fine. Similar thing. I have not yet toured Prusa polymers in Prague. I do want to see that. I know Polar Filament in Detroit is, the 1 kilo, or, they're not re-spooling, right? Mm-hmm. There was one company that was re-spooling that was kind of famous for it, was IIID Max, and they were doing it in Miami.
That's right.
The guy that filmed himself doing it in his underwear.
Oh no, I didn't see that video. Weren't they shipping it all over from Cuba anyway?
They were bringing in the big spools. I don't know if it was from Cuba. I believe it was from China, but they were claiming made in America, but when in reality it was re-spooled in America.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think they're around anymore. They might be.
They might not be. They didn't have good margins to be around in business anymore.
No,
shipping over from China.
But they were also selling for like 12 a kilo too. They were a low-cost provider, and the quality of their material very much reflected that. But for us, we have 5 suppliers because our 2 main suppliers are going to be Printed Solid and Polar Filament. We can run them completely out of their inventory. Like when we make orders, we can empty their inventories. So we needed more suppliers simply because of volume.
That is the goal.
Then I want to know, what do you all think? Did you think that 3D printing is going to replace injection molding at any point in the near future? I like it. I don't know, though. I don't know.
We know that the volumes of parts have been declining forever. Like, freaking Toyota considers 25,000 to be mass production.
Oh, yeah.
And if they could go smaller, they would.
Oh, it's Toyota,
I don't believe in the... Right, exactly. I don't believe in the customization part of 3D printing. I don't think that many people want their name stamped on their object.
No.
But I do believe in the customized demand. Like right now, I can market to any individual demographic that I want. If I have a widget, I can market to a 45-year-old woman who lives in this neighborhood who makes this much money per year, and that ad will show to her. But your products are not that flexible.
No.
What if you could iterate and tweak your product to that degree to have it create the item that 45-year-old woman who makes that income wants in that moment? You're not just marketing your presentation or adjusting and iterating your presentation, but your actual item.
With that caveat, I will agree. But I guess I was primarily looking at square footage, right? What can I get more volume out of it?
Space is one of the cheapest things.
Right, but I'm looking, so when you look at scaling, right? Mm-hmm. Space, if you can find a warehouse with cheap rent, great. But if you're on a set piece of land, let's say you're in 50,000 square feet, can you get more volume out of an injection molder or out of 3D printers? If you're doing one thing, let's say you are a single part company, right? Mm-hmm. I think injection molding is going to win that every single day. But as soon as you...
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Because the molder has the warehouse where you have to store all of the parts, which is the same square footage ultimately, whereas we just have the warehouse.
Shit.
It's also material storage. Printers tend to store the material in themselves, whereas an injection molder, you need an entire warehouse for material preparation and storage.
You'll technically still need that for printing as it continues to scale, but you're right. A lot of it stores on the machines.
There's a lot of overlap. Like on printing,
you
there's
can tighten that up and
space.
shrink it down. Yeah.
On top of that, for say like
I'm
you
upset.
get a 300 grand injection molder.
You're not wrong.
The real question that made me win it over was for 300 grand, one injection molder. How many printers can I get, and does that do the same throughput as that injection molder in raw plastic melt? And the answer is the printers win every single time.
And with injection molding, you also need a CNC machine to make the molds.
There's that, and you also have a single point of failure. Our factory is never going to go down because we can only go down by a percentage. We can't go down completely.
These are quality arguments that I don't think I've heard before.
Because it's so niche. There's only like 5 people on the planet who have to deal with this most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah. And even like you look at like the Chinese print farms. Everybody's just like, okay, great, print farms are fine. China's going to take them all. And I'm like, I've seen the Chinese print farms, and they're operating at a level of they're using the labor component of it, of like a bunch of consumer machines sling people at it. And I'm like, that's not useful. So they're about 5
really
years
not
behind
optimized.
where we are right now for operating and tracking and that kind of stuff. And it's great if you're filling up a bag of Wiglets or something like that. That's fine. But there's other parts to be made that need more traceability.
I love traceability, man. Traceability just means more money on the project. Oh, you need full traceability? Yeah, that's 4x.
In all fairness, though, it's a really easy thing to automate because if you can get that system working, it's really high margin, but really low operational expense.
So we offer traceability from filament manufacturer. So
that's rough.
we go from raw material all the way to end products. Like that's when you're dealing with
most
like
manufacturers can't do it.
Sabic does for Peak, Peck, and Ultem, right? So it's when you're already coming for Ultem or Peak or Peck, you already know that this isn't going to be. You're not getting a $20 part made out of Ultem. I'm not even heating up the machine to Ultem temperatures for $20. Yes. Absolutely not. It's not happening.
Yep.
So I guess at that point they're like, we don't care. We're used to paying Stratasys prices. If you're 4 times normal rate, you're still 5x cheaper than what we're used to paying. Like I'm near a major Air Force base. So like the big push for us has been more business to government, and well, as we all know, things are a little iffy in the government right now. And hey, if the billionaires can find ways to make money off of it, so can us little guys. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much money sloshing around out there. Even when any individual source moves around, there's always so much more out there. People really underestimate this too. Like there's so much sloshing around. But generally, it's your efficiency of grabbing it that slows you down more often than not.
And watching all these local, there's a bunch of small 3D printing companies that are popping up locally, and they are all doing the same shit, right? They're all doing the dragons, they're all doing the eggs. And what are they competing on? Price. And I'm like, you all are morons. Sure, you're gonna scale very quickly and rapidly, but you're gonna quickly come into this problem of, oh, you can't replicate yourself. You're going to try to bring in people. They're not going to be as efficient as you, and they're going to fundamentally fail at it. And because you're running on razor thin margins, you're not going to succeed at this. You have to be at a slant 3D scale to take advantage of smaller margins, but take advantage of, a volume. 5 printers doesn't take advantage of margin. I would say a minimum for that is 50 machines before you're taking advantage of any volume production.
Because it's just like whenever you have a market with a ton of disparate individual guys making stuff or whatever else it was, that's a commodity market where it's very easy to centralize and just build a really good system. Wiglets was brilliant in the fact that, number one, they ground super hard at the beginning because they would do 5 shows a weekend, and they would drive 6 to 15 hours to go do 5 shows a weekend. Just take their trailer and move.
That's intense.
That's intense. But then also they figured out the sales process. They figured out this is a high-selling item at the front of every independent toy store in the country, and there are a lot of those, and we can find their phone number.
Because they're grab and go, man.
They can grab and go, and they can call up that person and say, can we send you 100 of these things on consignment or whatever their model was? And they know they will sell. And that's a really, really scalable business model. And they ground it out and they ate it until they got up to where Moose Toys bought a chunk of them or something, or partnered with them. And now they're in Target. And good on them. When I talked to Zach, I was just like, what are you doing about the toy problem? I'm like, you guys need to start a TV show in the next 6 months. Otherwise, you're going to burn out here in 18. And he was just like, we're working on it. We're building a brand. They have built a brand in that they're actually collectible and intentionally collectible, which is better than everybody else. And they also got them certified as child safe so that Target actually could buy them. So
I don't know how
they did all the right things.
How can you get something that small certified as child safe?
They made it smaller. This is actually what they did. They made the parts smaller relative to the size of the links. And then they got them tested by a toy lab to make sure that the arms don't break off at a certain strength threshold. So, they just did the right things. Like, it's such a perfect example of just execution. Like, yeah, they create creative new toys and that kind of stuff, but ultimately they're making a fidget toy. But they just ran at it very intentionally and really hard, and they've got it now. And like, it's so beautiful. And it's also a perfect example of doing one thing really, really well and it going big.
Yeah, it's just it's the heat-seeking chancla, right? It just, I'm telling you, this is the way that we solve all these, issues overseas. Just put like a dozen Latin women in charge of the Department of Defense or whatever we're gonna call it now, and
that'd wrap it up pretty quick.
Yeah, just have them threaten chanclas, and all of a sudden, peace on earth. No one messes with pissed off Cuban women, man. They never do. But yeah, so Gabe, I would